Hi folks, this is Don Schaefer once again. We are working on a series, and the series is called Creating Your Future. And we've been going through a series of topics trying to help you develop yourself. I know last time we talked a little bit about knowing and getting what you want, and how it's so important to know what you want and be going after that, and having the understanding that you have to work on areas of life that really matter to you, and sometimes we fall short of that. But this week we're going to work on another topic here, and we're talking about the race to perfection, and it's going to be an exciting one. I'm excited about giving this. I know I had a tremendous opportunity yesterday. I wrote a letter to the graduating class of Xavier High School, and I was given the privilege of doing that. The principal had put out a note asking me to do that, and so I did. And it was good for me, and I believe it's going to be good for them. Because one of the things I put on there was the fact that if you're 18 years old and you take 118-year-old young children, I shouldn't say young children, young men and women, and you allow them to graduate, but you ask them what they really want and what their expectations are in life, and they'll be great. They want to be successful, they want to be happy, they want to have the best homes, best cars, all that stuff. But you take these 100 people, by the time they reach 65, one of them will be rich, 4 of them will be independently wealthy, where they don't need any money but the money they have, 5 of them will still be working, and 54 will have to rely on other people's money just to survive. And I said to them in this letter, I told them, I says, why is it that a country, the richest country in the world with the most opportunities in the world, has this happening to them? And the reason is they don't create their future. They don't put up goals together and put a plan together to achieve that future. And I'm hoping that these young children read this. I shouldn't say children again, young men and women read this, because I know this is Xavier High School. It's a high school that I graduated from back in 1969, so that was a long, long time ago. But I compare myself. I remember what it was like graduating, and sometimes in life we need a little bit of direction. And that's why this whole series that I'm teaching here is trying to help people to get some direction in their life, to be able to create something in their life rather than just waiting life to come upon them. So many times people will sit there and they'll go from circumstance to circumstance to circumstance, and some good, some not so good, without realizing that a lot of this can be created for them. They can create their circumstances and create the outcomes of their life. But I'm going to get right into this week, and again, the title is Your Race to Perfection. And the scripture I pulled for this is in Proverbs 3, verses 13 through 15. It says, "Blessed is the man who finds wisdom, the man who gains understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. She is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her." Okay, this is powerful scripture, because basically this is the foundational elements of success, is gaining wisdom, trying to get wisdom on how you want to live life and how you want to be developed in life and how you want to grow in life. And so many people, and I was telling these high school graduates that so many people, when they get out of high school, they quit learning. See, learning is something we need to continue to do. And I'm, going on in years, and but every day I'm trying to learn something. It's what makes life exciting. It's what keeps you ahead of things. And so many times people will get themselves in a position where they feel like they know it all and they don't need to grow. Well, we do, and I'm going to try to explain that well as we go through this series here, this lesson here. And the quote I pulled here this week is from Abraham Lincoln, and it says, "I will study and prepare myself, and someday my chance will come." And that's what our life should be. We should be in preparation. And there's nothing worse than when opportunity comes and there's no preparation that was done before it came. There's nothing more embarrassing and more humiliating than having the opportunity and not being prepared to achieve anything with it or do anything with it. Okay, the first point I have is, when the sun comes up, you better be running. When the sun comes up, first point. The race is on today and you are in it. A great majority of people are not aware that they are in a race. And that's where in life, we are in a race. Sometimes I call it the human race. And a lot of people don't realize we are in a race. We are in a race to obtain, a race to achieve. We're given a period of time. I believe that in all this, that as we go on to our next life, it's going to be all about what we've prepared ourselves for in this life. I believe this life is not wasted in any way or any fashion. As we leave this world, if we use the gifts, the abilities, and the potential that God has given us, that it will be a powerful moment and it'll be exciting, and we will spend someplace that they call eternity. Hard to get our arms around that because our mind always has a beginning and an end, but the word eternity means forever, and we'll look back at a period of time which we have right now to do something with our lives, and if we do something, how great that will be, how great that will be for eternity. So we're going to continue to work on trying to encourage you, as well as myself, to continue moving on and becoming all that we can be. In East Africa, the gazelle knows that he has to run faster than the slowest lion. See if he's going to eat. He knows that he has to wake up in the morning, and when the sun comes up, he better be ready to run, and he better be prepared to go faster than the slowest gazelle, or I got that wrong. No, the East Africa, the gazelle knows that he better run faster than the fastest lion because he's going to be eaten up. And that's where in our life, if we have to achieve things, we better get up and we better be running. We better be chasing after something because we are going to lose if we can't grasp things in life. That's where every day when the sun comes up, it's another day of opportunity. It's another day of understanding that we are in a race to perfection, in trying to perfect ourselves in all the areas that are possible. Okay, next point I have is small differences can lead to enormous differences in results. Small differences can lead to enormous differences in results. Having the winning edge in life, our ability to learn and apply new ideas is a tool to winning at life. See, what we're in the age of knowledge right now. There was a period of time where it was all about the agricultural age. It was about brawn. It was for about 6,000 years, we were in a period of time where it was all about how strong you were, and your capabilities and warfare and in agriculture and everything else. It was all about the strength of the individual. Well, it's a different world today. We're in a different age, and it deals with knowledge. It deals about us using our minds, using our head to achieve things. And that's where we can have the winning edge in life. If we realize this, we have the potential of so much, and it's all inside of our minds. And if we can be developed in a way where we use our minds as a tool to obtain things and obtain the potential, obtain the future that we want, we will have the wisdom we talked about, that God says we need so badly, that we need to search after, seek, and wrap our arms around. It's important that we realize that it is the small differences that make the difference in life. And so many times people will in life will have an edge, you will think, because it seems like they seem to achieve so much and a lot of it seems easy to them, but people fail to realize sometimes what has happened there. I know I watch basketball and I see some of these guys and they just flow, like LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Some of these guys, you see them play ball and you say, my goodness, these guys are just fantastic with what they do. See, they are showing their capabilities, but we don't see behind the scenes. We don't see the 1,500 shots that they're taking, in practice, trying to attain the skills that they have within them to achieve great things. We don't understand what goes behind. Most of the people who are successful in life have great things behind the scenes that are happening in their life. They have disciplined themselves. They have found ways to build themselves and gain greater knowledge and greater skills in the areas that they're going after. It isn't something that just happens. So many times people think they're just lucky. They're not lucky. They develop themselves. And that's where we can do the same thing if we can understand that we're in a race. And that's a race to perfection. Okay, next point I have is learning to get ahead and staying ahead. Okay, the ability to identify your potential and run with it. Do not rest on your laurels and keep pushing yourself to be in the lead. You know, that's where life a lot of times is. We reach a certain point, we start to rest on our laurels. And so much in life, you see people who are successful in areas, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and beats them. And because they've been resting on their laurel. You see this in sporting events a lot of times. You know, get a big lead, and all of a sudden they start sitting on it. They try to protect the lead rather than trying to get ahead and stay ahead and develop a winning way about them and continue to pour points on it, whatever it might be. It just, you want to pull your hair out. You keep saying to yourself, why are you doing this? You know, why are you trying to protect that lead? Why don't you try to continue to do the same thing you were doing to reach the point where you're at? That's where in life we don't sit back. We don't rest on our laurels. We learn to get ahead and we learn to stay ahead. We learn to continue to develop ourselves and grow ourselves. If we read something or we get developed in one area, okay, how can I expand that? You know, you ask yourself that. How can I grow in these areas here? Because I don't want to rest and say, you know, hey, I've achieved a certain point. And that's where these high school kids, again, a good example for me today. But, you know, they have a point where, and I remember what it was like. I went through eight years of grade school and 4 years of high school, and I did some college and whatever, but I came to a point where I'm saying, you know, I am tired of this. I just, you know, let me just go to work. Let me just punch the clock and, you know, and work at work and come home and watch a football game or something. You know, it took me a while to realize, Don, you can't do that. Because all of a sudden it seems like everybody is starting to pass you up in different areas, and you start to wonder why. See, they haven't quit. And I know myself, it was back in the 1980s that I realized, hey, Don, you better get moving. You know, I was about 30 years old and I started realizing, Don, hey, you know, you went for about 10 years of relaxation. Now it's time to get moving. And I had to do some catching up. I had to learn. I know I always laugh and joke about the fact that when I first really took life seriously and really wanted to develop myself in different areas, I only had one book. That was it. You know, I didn't even have a Bible at that time. I had one book. I had a book about Tarzan sitting on my shelf. That was it. And I'm sitting there, my goodness, Don. You know, but since that time, I've been learning how to get ahead and to stay ahead. And I realize I have to continue to grow myself. I have to continue to make myself more valuable, not only to myself, but to everybody that's around me, to allow myself to grow. And I realize that in life, there's never no end to it. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter. You continue to grow yourself until the last bell is rung, because this is what we were designed to do, and it's important for us to realize that. The next point I have is the future belongs to the competent. The future belongs to the competent. It belongs to those who are very good at what they do. It belongs to those who have knowledge on how to get results and add to that knowledge every day. See, and that's where we become competent, and that's what the future belongs to. Those that are prepared for the future, because the future is changing. It's amazing, because I know they used to talk about how many years it took to double knowledge. It's crazy. You know, right now, knowledge is on a tremendous increase. It doubles, I would say, you know, every year, 2 or 3 years. It doubles. It completely doubles itself. And that's where there is something here I want to share with you. There is something about knowledge that a lot of times people get trapped into. See, knowledge has to be applied. Knowledge has to be put into action. So many times people get into a situation where they obtain knowledge and they obtain it and obtain it and obtain it. Knowledge by itself can be very dangerous. I mean, it's interesting to know, but if you don't apply it to your life, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. So many times people get caught up in this trap too. They'll go through school and they'll do a lot of gaining knowledge in areas, but then they don't apply it. At the end of the knowledge period, it needs to be applied. And that's where in life, it's so important for us to realize that as we continue to get more competent and continue to gain more knowledge, we have to find ways of applying that knowledge, ways of putting our things into action, because the future is all about the actions that we take today. It isn't going to be about how knowledgeable we've become. It's about what we can apply to our life. Okay, going on. Next point. Keep trying until you find the open door. Keep trying until you find the open door. Learning to knock on every door until you get what you want. No real limitations on what your life can accomplish. Setting goals and obtaining the knowledge to achieve it. See, and that's where it is important that we keep trying. We never quit. We continue to obtain. If we can't figure it out, we might take the night off, and then the next morning we go right back at it again, because I want to know. I realize there's no limitations on what I can accomplish in life, and I have to continue to knock until the door opens up. You know, it's important to find a way. If we don't have the way right now in our minds, we continue to push until we find the way. See, so many people, they don't place an importance on finding a way. And the only thing that's important to them is having a good excuse. And I don't think excuses is going to cut it when life is all over, when the opportunities we've had, we have allowed them to go by the wayside because we didn't make life important enough. We didn't make this race important enough. We didn't make it urgent enough. I know back in the 80s, I had to make things urgent. I had to say to myself, Don, because at that time, Ziegler was a big part of my life back then. You know, I got into reading See You at the Top. I've gotten some of his tapes. I've gone to see him in person a couple times, speaking. Tremendous. He really made a big impact on my life because it made me realize that there are steps in life and there's things I need to do, and that there is no excuses. I can't take the elevator to the top. I have to take the stairway. I love the way he presented that. He said the stairway is steps. You know, once I reach a certain step, I have to reach the next step. You know, and knowledge and applied knowledge will help me to go up the steps in life. And eventually, someday, I will reach the top. You know, and he said the elevator is out. You know, in his book, he says, the elevator is out. You can't go and take the elevator to the top. You got to take the steps. And that is true. We need to take the steps. And that's where we have to realize that we have to get ourselves into the place where we're constantly knocking. We're constantly seeking after and realizing that everything is important and it's urgent in our life because we are in a race to perfection. Okay, moving on here. Next point is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. What happens when preparation meets opportunity? It is amazing how many people who are just sitting around waiting for a break. God wants us to make our own breaks by preparing ourselves for them. See, and that's when success meets opportunity. What happens when we are prepared for success? What happens when all the stuff is in place for us and we are prepared for success? It is amazing. You know, it's finally come. I've knocked, and finally, the door is opened up and I found success. Oh, what a beautiful thing it is. How ugly it is when opportunities come, and they come all the time, but we're just not prepared for it. We hear things, but we're just not prepared for it. It's much like a building. You know, if you're going to build a one-story building, your foundations don't have to be that deep, but you need foundations. You know, there's the frost and everything. You need probably at least 4 feet down to build a single-story building. But as you add stories to it, the foundation has to get deeper. You can't sit there and put foundations down in the ground with the intent of building maybe a 2-story building. And then all of a sudden, as you're building, say, you know what, I think I'm going to build myself a 20-story building. It's not going to work because the foundations have to be deeper. The foundations have to be more solid to handle the weather and everything that's going to come against that building so that building can stand. And it's the same thing in our life. When we take the time to learn, we take the time to develop ourselves, to work on our skills, and to become strong in areas that are connected with our dreams and our goals. What we do is actually we build a foundation. And whatever it comes to us above that foundation is opportunities in life. We're prepared for them. So if you build yourself deep foundations, you develop a discipline, you develop a knowledge, you develop an intestinal fortitude, you develop an urgency, you develop a commitment, you develop a great desire to go after, you develop enthusiasm in your life, you develop momentum. Many things go into this foundation that you're building. But if you can build this, then any opportunity would come your way. You can handle it. People are just looking for people with foundation. People that they know that if they give this task or this happen or whatever they want to pass that person's way, they can handle it because they've got a foundation. They will walk it through and they will make sure that it happens. They will knock on every door that they need to knock on to make sure that whatever is needed happens. I know there's people in my life that I know that, in business, that they're just tremendous because they have built a foundation underneath of them. So therefore, whatever comes their way, they can handle this. This isn't something that's going to say, oh boy, but yet you can see people. You can see people and you know that they can't handle opportunities, they are stuck just where they're at because they haven't built anything. They haven't created any real value to their life, and they haven't built something of integrity and character within them to handle situations. But I'm going to go on here. The next point is changing your future in the next 5 years. Changing your future in the next 5 years only happens by meeting new people and reading books. That's where I know I've read a book from Charlie Jones, and I forget the title of it. But anyway, he talks in that book, he talks about the only way that you are going to change is by changing the people you hang around with, or by reading. And that's where so many people, they don't read. And they say that the average person in the United States reads one book a year. And so that tells me that there's some people that read many more books and some people that read 0 books. And that is huge as far as where you want to be 5 years from now. The people you associate with rub off on you. They say birds of a feather flock together. This is true when it comes to life and when it comes to who you are and the perfection you develop in your life. Because you hang around with turkeys, you're probably going to act like a turkey and become like a turkey. But if you hang around with eagles, some people that fly high and continue to search for the sky, you are probably going to develop characteristics of an eagle and in your life. And that's where I encourage people that, depending on where you want to be and realizing that you're in your race to perfection, to take a look at the people that you hang around with, because they do dictate a little bit of what's happening in your life. I remember when our children were young, we were cautious because there were certain children we didn't want our kids to be a part of, because we realized that if they're a part of the wrong crowd, that they're eventually and possibly might pick up these characteristics. So it's important who you hang around with, but it's also important to be able to read, to be able to listen to programs like this and different tapes, go to seminars, take classes. All of this is very important as far as developing yourself in something that you want to be in the next 5 years. So if you want to change in the next 5 years, so many people are stuck. And it's interesting to note, and I don't want to cut anybody down here, but it's interesting to note this, that if you go into people that are very wealthy, if you go into their homes, you'll usually find a library. you'll find a library, and a lot of times with a lot of books and stuff in that library, and you start to realize that did they obtain this house and their wealth and then put the books into their library, or did they read the books and develop the knowledge and then get the house and then maybe get the occupation and all this and be able to have the dwelling that they have right now? They read before, and this allowed them to happen. A lot of times you run into people who do not have too much money, and you go into their homes, and what you find is the biggest TV that maybe the market has to offer, but you find very little in the way of books because they plug themselves into a TV. See, there is something about reading, because what reading does, it causes growth. It causes you to grow. It causes you to create value in yourself and to grow. And a lot of times people will read, and people will tell me that, well, I read lots of books, sometimes 2, 3 books, maybe even a week. I read them. But there's a difference between entertainment books and growth books. A lot of books are just entertainment. They're much like the movie. They're much like the TV screen. It's there to entertain you. And it's containment. It contains your focus for a period of time. But there's a lot of times, there's some growth, but a lot of times not much growth. And there are books out there that are all about growth. I know myself, I am plugged in to growth books. Myself, novels are great, and if I want a good story, a novel might be a good thing to read. But I enjoy the facts, enjoy the understanding, the ideas, the autobiographies of people who obtained things the way they thought. All this stuff here, it helps me to grow because I run this through my mind. It helps me to develop myself and to understand. And a lot of times what it does, it helps me to handle situations when they come my way because I have a knowledge. I've grown myself. I've allowed a foundation to be underneath me. And in 5 years, I hope to be better than I am right now because I'm hoping to continue to find good people, be a part of my life, and to continue to grow my knowledge and understanding of life and everything and all the principles that are a part of it. Okay, my next point is, this is my last point, value your time by fishing where the fish are. Value your time by fishing where the fish are. Get out there and connect with people who are winning at life. The race is on to see who can catch the biggest fish. And that's where it is. We need to fish where the fish are. We need to go where we are going to obtain the knowledge and the development. If we have a great dream and a great goal in mind, we need to find out where the fish tank is. We need to find out where I can fish to obtain that which I need to get the biggest trophy in my life. And that's where Benjamin Franklin said, buy it or borrow it. Why pay the full price? He said, in life, you can buy the books and you can pay for the courses and you can do a lot of that, but you can also borrow it. And what he meant by borrowing it is go to the people who have paid the price and talk to them and hang around with them and borrow it and not have to pay the price, not have to go through all they went through by learning what they learned, by the time that they put into what they were doing. In life, a lot of times too, if we want to create a wonderful future, we can either spend a lot of time reading about a lot of things, or we can find where the biggest fish are and start fishing there for their understanding in different areas of life. So there's a lot to this, folks. We are in the race to perfection, and the race is on. It's called the human race. And those who win at this in life are those who obtain the knowledge and use the abilities that God has given them. Each one of us, again, has a purpose. God has designed us for a specific reason, and it's up to us to go after it and to search after it. And it's important for us to realize the value of doing that. And that's where I want to encourage you to wake up tomorrow and realize that, I have to get up running. When the sun comes up, I have to be running. Because if I'm a gazelle, I have to be faster than the fastest lion out there, or he's going to catch me. And I don't want to be caught. I want to be able to have the edge in life, and I want you to be able to have the edge in life. And I have a couple action exercises here. The number one is, and these are things you can work on at home. It says, identify the areas of knowledge you need to be successful and how you can obtain it. So trying to find out what areas do I need as far as wisdom and knowledge in whatever area, whatever dream, whatever idea that I'm trying to obtain in my life, that I feel is purpose for me, and try to gain that knowledge and try to figure out where to get it. And number two, in what ways can you become more productive in reaching your goals? Okay, establish a goal, write it down. Get yourself in the position where you can be in the 1% maybe is rich, or the 4% that are independently wealthy, because you have set goals and you made a plan for your life. You've developed an end game for what you're trying to achieve in life. And that's what I want you to encourage to do, in finding ways that you can be more productive. Number three, what reading material do you need to gain the knowledge you need to prepare for opportunity as it comes your way? So what reading material do I need to read? And I want to encourage you to read. I want to encourage you to listen to programs such as this that help you to be encouraged and stirs up your thoughts inside, to go to seminars, to maybe take classes, because all this is so important in developing you and creating value in you. And when you continue to create value in you, you continue to feel good about yourself. And that's important in life. A lot of people get down on life, and so much of it is they're not creating value. And number four, schedule your day and week to set aside time for learning. Okay, schedule time. I know myself, every day I spend time, reading. I've got set times. I spend up to 2 hours reading every day, trying to develop myself and trying to gain knowledge and understanding, because I realize that there might be something that I'm really not understanding yet and I really don't get. And somewhere down the line it might be there. So I want to continue to keep myself in the process of growing in knowledge and the ability of it. And then I want to finish with a little story here. Seabiscuits. There was a movie on this. It says this is all about a horse and horse races. It says one races not by size, but by heart. Beat War Admiral in 1937 by 4 lengths. Unlikely champion and symbol of hope during the Great Depression. 1938 Horse of the Year. This is a powerful show. I know Shirley and we watch this sometimes periodically, because it's amazing, because this horse here shouldn't have won because it was small. It was small compared to the war horse, but yet it won. And it said the horse ran because of what was in its heart. And it was his heart that allowed him to continue to push on. But it was a ray of hope, because they were going through the Great Depression. A lot of people were very down, but it was like seeing the little man become successful. And it was a race to perfection. And this horse here did a lot for society right now, but your life can do a lot for you as well as the people around you. Realizing that where you at today, you need to continue to grow that, and you need to develop the perfection that you can obtain in life to reach your goals and reach your dreams. And this has been a great week for me, and it's been hopefully it's a great week for you. And hopefully this lesson has put some thoughts in your mind, and hopefully you can continue to grow your life and hopefully someday reach that level of perfection. Thank you so much for being with me. And I want to close in a little prayer here. Lord, I pray, dear God, for your hand to be upon each of us, Lord, that we will continue to grow in life, that you'll continue to open up opportunity for us, that we can reach after wisdom like it is something very precious in our life, and that we can be all that we can be in you. In your precious name I pray, amen. Thank you so much. Have a great week. See you next week.